In this video, we are going to see how to create matters in Locus from Google Forms responses. So let's say you're using Google Form as a form builder application, and every time there's a new submission, so this lead should be created as a matter on Locus, which is a legal practice management software. Now here, you can integrate these two applications and automate this entire process, and the same can be done using Pabbly Connect software. Here your trigger application would be Google Forms and your action application would be Locus. Now how can you do this yourself and automate this entire process? To understand that, let me take you to my screen. In this video, we are going to first start with typing the URL pabbly.com/connect, and as we do that, we will reach the landing page of the software. Here on the right hand side, we have two options: sign in and sign up for free. If you are an existing user, simply sign in. If you are a new user, then you will have to click on this tab and complete the sign up process. This will not take more than 2 minutes, and also at the time of account creation, you will get 100 free tasks. Now, since I'm an existing user, I'm going to click on sign in. And here we have reached the all applications page. Now, since we are doing this integration using Pabbly Connect software, let's click on access now. And here we have reached the dashboard of this application. On the right hand side, you can see a tab, create workflow. Let's click on this. And now a dialog box has appeared which is asking us to name this workflow. Now here my objective is to create matters in Locus from Google Forms responses. So I'm going to name my workflow as Google Forms Locus integration. Let's click on create. Once done, here we have reached another window which has got two very important events, trigger and action. Triggers and actions are basically those two principles or concepts on which this entire automation works. Trigger is when this happens and action is do this. Basically, action is the response of your trigger. Now the first application that we are going to use here is Google Forms. So let's go to Google Forms and I'm going to click on this. And now the trigger event. Trigger event is the event that will make your workflow start. Let's click on this and go to new response received. Once done, here you can see that we have received a webhook URL which is basically going to act as a bridge in connecting Google Forms with Pabbly Connect. So I'm going to copy this and then we have to follow the following steps. So now I'm going to first take you to Google Forms. So here as I go down, you can see Forms. Let's click on this. So I've already created this form on Google Forms, which is a client assessment form. Here we have the name, description, rate, open date, due date, close date, and client ID as different fields. Now, to set up this connection, here we have to come to the last step and toggle this required field to right side. If I take you back to Pabbly Connect, here it is written, go to form on which you want to take submission and make last question as required for trigger. So basically this means that every time this form will be filled and the moment this last question is filled, then this information will be stored to Google Sheets. Now I'm going to go to responses, click on this Google Sheet icon, and here I'm going to click on create. As soon as I do that, here you can see that it has created a Google Sheet. Now to set up this connection, I'll go to extensions and then here we'll go to add-ons and then get add-ons. Once we are here, we'll have to look for a application which is Pabbly Webhook, Pabbly Connect Webhooks. Now here you can see that this is already there in my system, but if you haven't installed it yet, you should do that. It will not take more than 2 minutes. Now let's click on this cross and I'm again going to go to extensions. The moment I've installed it, it will come here like this, Pabbly Connect Webhooks, go to initial setup. So once we are here, you can see that it has already selected the sheet form responses 1. And here it is asking me to paste the webhook URL. Going back to Pabbly Connect, let's copy this URL that we have received, go to this Google Sheet and paste it over here. And now the trigger column. So the trigger column is the final data column on which the data is added. So here our final data column is H. So I'm going to write H and then let's click on submit. So once done, here you can see that it has configured successfully. Going back to Pabbly Connect, As I scroll down, I'm going to click on waiting for webhook response. Basically, here it is asking me to do a test submission so that the data can be recorded here in the webhook response. Now, I'm going to take you back to Google Form, and here let's click on this preview tab. So let's click on this, and now I'm going to fill in the data. Let's say the name of my client is client new. And then the description, so let's say this is a cybercrime. Next is rate. Let's say the amount is 20,000. And then we have the open date. Let's say the open date is today, which is 12th of September. And the due date is next month. So going back to October, 12th of October. And same is the close date, which is again 12th of October. Once done, here the client ID. So let's say the client ID is Neeraj Shri. Here in client ID, you can write the name of the person for whom you are handling a lot of cases. Now let's click on submit. Now as soon as we have done that, if we go to this Google Sheet, here you can see that we have received the response. Again, I'm going to go to extensions, go to Pabbly Connect webhook. This time I'm going to click on send on event. Again, going back to this Pabbly Connect initial setup. So once done, let's click on submit, and I'm going to go back to Pabbly Connect and see if it has received the API response. Here you can see that it has received the response. This is the name, description, rate, open date, due date, close date, client ID, spreadsheet name, ID, the name of the spreadsheet, etc. So this basically means that Pabbly Connect and Google Forms, these two are now connected. Now we wish that every time there is a new response through Google Forms, so what should happen? There should be a new matter created on Locus. So my next application here would be Locus. Let's click on this. And now the action event here would be to create a matter. Let's click on connect. And now here Pabbly Connect is asking to connect itself with the Locus account. To do the same, we are going to click on add new connection and then connect with Locus. As soon as we do that, it will ask us for the credentials. And now I'm going to click on login. Let's provide it the access. Click on allow. Once done, here you can see that the authorization has been successful. And here you can see that Pabbly Connect and Locus are now connected. Now we have to map the data. Mapping basically means that we have already received this information in our previous steps. We are just going to retrieve it here. So as I click on this, go to Google Forms. This is the name of my client. Then the description here. So the description here is that it is a cybercrime. So here you can see that the workflow ID has already been captured, and so is the select workflow ID. Now the stage ID. So here this is a case assessment form. So I'm going to fill in the case assessment option. Then billing type, so let's say it is non-billable. Then the rate, so here what would be the rate? It is 20,000. Now here we can see that the client ID has already been mentioned here. It is Neeraj Shri. And then we have the open date, due date and close date. But it is saying that we have to have these dates in this particular format. For this, as I go up, I'm going to add an action step, and here I'm going to use a feature by Pabbly, which is date time formatter. And now the action event here would be format date with time zone. Let's click on connect. So once we are here, as I scroll down, this is asking me for the date which is supposed to be mapped here. So that date, first date is open date, and the from format is that right now it is in months, days and year format, and we want it to be in date and then time also. So let's click on this, and here it is from time zone would be DC, right? And to time zone again is going to be UTC. So let's click on this and click on save and send test request. So here you can see that we have received the first date. I'm going to repeat this process once again, which is again date time formatter. Let's click on this. Now the action event would be to format date with time zone. Let's click on connect. And now as I scroll down, here is the date. So go to the first step, and this is the due date. Now the from format is again month, date and year. And then we have to format. So the to format here would be this one. So once done, this will be from UTC. So let's click on this, again UTC. So let's click on this and click on save and send test request. So once we have done, here we have received the information, and now we are going to add another action step for the last date, which is again here that feature would be date time formatter by Pabbly. So let's click on this. Then action event here would be again format date with time zone. Let's click on connect. So now the date. So here I'll go for the final date, which is the close date. Then from format would be again month, date and year. And then we have the to format. So the to format would be this. And then the time zone again UTC. So you can change this as per your time zone. And now it is again UTC. Let's click on this and click on save and send test request. So once done, here we have received the response, and now I'm going to quickly refresh this connection by clicking on existing connection, save. So here you can see the close date, open date and due date. So I'm going to map this. Go to the first one, this is the open date. Then go to the second one, this is the due date, and finally the close date. So this is the close date, and rest of the things can remain the same. You can change it as per your wish. And now I'm going to quickly click on save and send test request. So here you can see that we have received the response, which basically means that this matter should be now a part of Locus. So I'm going to take you to my Locus account now, and these are the matters. This is the landing page. These are the matters. Let's click on this. I'm going to refresh this page once, and here you can see that we have got a new matter, which is client new. Neeraj is the client. Description is cybercrime. Then we have again the pipeline or stage, open date, SOL, last contacted and responsible members. So this basically means that our first step of integration is a total success, but we also need to check it in real time. So I'm again going to go back to my client assessment form, click on submit another response, and this time here it is second chance. The name here is second chance. Description is cybercrime only. Then the rate here, let's say this time it is only 10,000. Then the open date would be, let's say it is 13th of September. Due date again here is, let's say it is 8th of October, and close date is again 8th of October, right? I'm going to now here it is the client ID. So let's say it is again Neeraj, and now I'm going to click on submit. So once done, what should happen? With this information that Locus matter should be created. So going back to Locus, I'm going to refresh this page here, second chance, and here we have the details. This basically means that this entire integration process is a complete success. Now I'm going to take you back to Pabbly Connect and quickly understand exactly what we have done. So this was an extremely easy two-step integration process apart from the basic date time formatter that we have used consistently. So the trigger here is Google Forms, and the trigger event is new response received. Then we have the date time formatter, which has been applied twice to change the due date, close date and open date. And finally here, if I take you down, we have our Locus, which is our action application, and here we have to create matter. So I hope this is very much clear to you. If in case you have any doubt or any advice for us, you can always write to us. You can even clone this workflow. The same workflow is given in the video description. You can go through that, solve your problems and also process immediately. I hope this was helpful. To watch more such videos, you can always subscribe to our channel, which is there on YouTube. If you have any queries, you can write to us at forum.pabbly.com, and if you want to know our pricing plans, then you can visit us at this particular site. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe if you have liked this video.